Welcome everyone to the Week 15 Tight Ends and Defense preview video here on the FantasyCruncher YouTube page. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and then leave in the comments section along with your FantasyCruncher username. Don't forget that. Hard for me to give you a free week of FantasyCruncher Pro if you win without the username, so make sure you leave your FantasyCruncher username in there. Give me the defense that you think gets the most interceptions this week. Not necessarily the most number of points. Who do you think gets the most turnovers this week? Gets most interceptions? So leave that in the comments section. You'll be entered in a drawing to win a free week of FantasyCruncher Pro. Winner will be announced during the Week 16 quarterbacks video. All right. Tight end position is one as we get towards the end of the season. I really try not to get too cute here. It's really rare that a young player at this point, at this position, just kind of emerges, barring some drastic playing time adjustment. So guys like O.J. Howard and guys who just have been busts at this point, I just kind of write them off. They're not really situations I'm going to go back to the well on. You know, it's frustrating sometimes for sure. Like, you believe in the talent and you don't really want to take the L, but I really haven't found that those young guys just really emerge late in the season, unless it's, the starter's out or something like that. So for me, this time of the season, you're going to see me playing the top guys, and I can't believe I'm actually recommending this guy after how he just broke my heart and my wallet not even a few days ago. But Zach Ertz is the top option here. No Alshon Jeffrey. The whole wide receiving core is basically like on IR. I mean, he just got so many targets, and it's hard to imagine it's not going to happen this week. I mean, the Giants just left him open in some of these plays. It's hard to look at still. Just needing to catch one. But the Redskins' defense isn't good enough to cover him either. It's just like the Giants. He's the top option here. If you could find the $6,000 for him, I would do so. Because there's a bunch of good options, but he's the best of the bunch. Hunter Henry's a good option, but he can go Jekyll and Hyde just depending on where the targets go. We see last couple weeks 4 and 3. Before that, he hadn't had below 6 in 2 months. So, it's definitely Jekyll and Hyde with him, but it's a fantastic matchup. Great ceiling. Dallas Goedert, he's going to have to run a ton more routes now with those wide receivers out. He got 6 targets. 6, 8, 7, and 6. And it's no coincidence. The whole wide receiving core is dead. They've been running Ertz at some wide receiver, and so that makes Goddard the tight end in those formations. So he's an option. Njoku is back with an injury, but just didn't look like himself last week. It's a good matchup against Arizona. If you're a flowchart believer, this is the spot. Vance McDonald couldn't score last week because he got concussed. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Gesicki's a good option. Finally had that letdown week, but the targets were still there. So that worked. That's okay. Higbee, of course, I think is a fantastic option if we see once again that Gerald Everett's out, and it's starting to trend that way. 8-11 targets over the last 2 weeks, over 100 yards in both games. Don't think that's really going to change. I know the Dallas linebacking core is good, but they don't really dominate coverage. And he's been playing a ton of snaps, Higbee, too. So he's just always out there on the field. Rudolph against the Chargers is an interesting flex option, viable. Cameron Brate could take over some red zone work with no Mike Evans, but he's been a little hit or miss. Ever since that big 14-target game, only 6 over the last 3 combined. That's a little bit tough. And then Ian Thomas, if Greg Olson's out, it's an option. But then, you're starting to get down into these frisky plays. There's one more that I just mentioned, and I can't remember who it is now. Evan Ingram, if he's back, is a good play. Why can't I remember who I wanted to talk about? Jacob Hollister against Carolina is an option. Bunch of work there. This is really frustrating. There was another tight end. I'll leave it in the comments section if I figure out who I wanted to mention. Oh, it's Nick Van Nett. I know who it is. It's Nick Van Nett, but he's not on the main slate, is he? No, that's the Sunday night game. Well, that explains why I couldn't see him. I was going to recommend Nick Van Nett, but he's not on the main slate. I was like, why can't I find any of the Pittsburgh tight ends? Oh, yeah. They're not on the main slate. But that's my point. There really isn't a whole lot of value here. I'm trying to find guys that aren't even on the slate. So I really would try to just pay up here. It's not full expensive. Those value wide receivers we were talking about, at the 5 to 6K range, you get a top tight end for that. Wouldn't be the craziest idea in the world to go to 2 tight ends in tournaments, but even that's probably a little too crazy for me. But I would try to get a good one because I do think one of these guys is going to pop this week. Darren Waller against the Jaguars is still a fantastic option as well. Defense, I mean, I love the Patriots against the Bengals, but you don't need me to tell you that. The Lions are going to be popular this week. I mean, we saw it last week. Everyone's just playing defenses against Tampa, and Jameis Winston's turning over the football. He's got a thumb injury. Looks like he's going to play, but I don't think that's going to stop people from playing the Lions defense. They want those turnovers. For me, it's just tough playing a defense that I know the defense is going to give up 28 points before it starts. Like, that's tough to me. I'm giving up all the points. Like, I get the turnovers can help you win tournaments, but if you give up a ton of points, you're basically counting on a pick six to get them in a tournament winning consideration. It's worked well this season. I can't deny it. Playing the defenses against Tampa has been a very good strategy for their price point. I just don't get there. I would much rather take on the Raiders against a Jaguars team that's kind of looked like it's quit. Could see some turnovers there, but again, their Raiders season's kind of over. They're leaving Oakland soon. Maybe that's not the world's best spot. Philly against Washington, I'm just still worried about the deep ball. They can give it to anyone. Cleveland's their pass rush hasn't been great, and I suspect Kyler's getting more and more healthy by the week. I don't love that spot. I mean, I obviously like the 49ers, but again, they're getting hurt. I would rather pay the $200 more for the Patriots. I think they're in a fantastic spot against the Bengals. Other defenses I like, I kind of like the Dolphins this week. They're pretty cheap as well. 2,600 against the Giants. The Giants, give up a ton of sacks. Daniel Jones turns over the football. The Dolphins have been playing good football. Like, they've played good football. Really could have won that game in New York, too, to make it another win. So, they've got 3 wins. Basically, since those first 4 weeks, they've played fantastic football. So, I don't mind going to the Dolphins. Don't mind going to the Panthers defense here. Seattle coming off the short week, flying cross country. I don't hate that for 2,500. Don't hate the Jaguars against Oakland, especially if Josh Jacobs sits. Looks like he's going to play, but they could change his mind on his broken shoulder anytime. I think the Jaguars against a one-dimensional Derek Carr is interesting. So there's a bunch of cheap defenses I can definitely get behind, but the ones I really like are the Patriots. See, it's hard. As soon as I have to commit to it, it becomes a little more challenging. Like, I like a lot of these defenses in principle, but it's tough. Like, I don't really feel confident sticking my neck out for any of them. Which probably should tell me everything I need to know about how really good plays they are, right? Like, they're fine plays, but they're not like, this is a gun-ho, I love this play. Give me the Jaguars. Give me the Packers against the Bears. I didn't mention the first time, but Trubisky's bad. I'm not going to let one or two good games fool me. I know he's bad. Good rebound spot for the Packers at home. Trubisky on the road is just a disaster waiting to happen. Patriots, Packers, Jaguars if Josh Jacobs is out. Otherwise, I'd probably take the Raiders. And Houston, too. I'm still not buying this Ryan Tannehill nonsense. But for me, if I can find the money, I'm just going to play the Patriots. I mean, this is one of their better spots. I think the floor is probably 10 points here. So I think I'm just going to pay up for the Patriots. I think it'll be pretty contrarian this week, too. I think people are going to try to fit in stud running backs and get that extra stud receiver with their value. So I don't think people will pay up for the Patriots. So I'll try to go ahead and get that defense that can go get me that pick 6, those 6 sacks, couple interceptions, and try to win it. Go back to winning a tournament with the defense. Contrarian for sure, but again, the Patriots are huge favorites here, so I think it's a fantastic option here, especially if the weather in Cincinnati isn't perfect. Andy Dalton, not exactly known for keeping the football with his team, so I do like the Patriots defense the most. But what defense do you think has the most interceptions? Again, leave that in the comments section if you haven't done so already with your FantasyCruncher username. Be entered in a drawing for a free week of FantasyCruncher Pro. If you haven't subscribed or liked the video, please do so. Subscribe to the channel. Check out all the other videos we've got. We've got all the other positions. We've got some tutorials on how to use FantasyCruncher. We've got all sorts of stuff here on our YouTube page, so check it all out. More content coming soon. And with that, guys, we'll see you here in, wow, can't believe it's almost here, week 16.